In this video, I'm going to show you the fastest way to lose body fat using actual science. It's how my client Jacob lost 10 pounds in 6 weeks, how Rick lost 15 pounds in 8 weeks, how Mike lost 15 pounds in 1 month, how Joseph lost the love handles in 20 days, how Nathan lost 15 pounds in 1 month, how Ben lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks, and how Armando tightened up the lower back in just 4 weeks, and how many of my other clients that I've been working for an extended period of time make transformations like this, like this, and even like this. So if you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online fat loss professional. I help men lose body fat, get to the leanest body fat percentage they've ever been, using actual metrics, higher level forms of nutrition, and metabolism manipulation, and I specialize in metabolic priming. So I've quite literally helped dozens of men use my process of metabolic priming to get the leanest body fat percentages they've ever been, actually eating more food, utilizing their metabolism to our advantage to grow, get leaner, and get their body to actually burn more food. It is not only the most sustainable, but it's also the most predictable approach to losing body fat, gaining muscle, and optimizing your hormone levels. And I have helped dozens of guys use this exact process, and I'm going to explain the fastest way to lose body fat and why my process of metabolic priming is so predictable, sustainable, and you'll never need to do another fad diet like keto or carnivore again, right? So let's get right into today's video. So today's video, we're going to actually break down the science of protein, carbs, fats, why you need each one, and the specific role that each one plays in the human body and in the form of hormonal science and a hormonal profile. So all of my clients give it a specific macronutrient profile on their start date, right? Nailing this macronutrient profile is why they see the progress as fast as they do. They see 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And because there is a synergistic effect in the human body when you nail all these macronutrients perfectly. There's a synergistic effect when you nail protein, nail carbs, nail fat. And so I've been using a formula that I've created on the back end of my program over years and years of doing nutrition consultations, and I simply plug my clients' information profile into my formulas and the goal that they want to hit, and I know exactly down to the protein, carbs, fats, calories, what they need to hit every single day to get there. And that's why my program is so predictable, and that's why dozens of the guys I've worked with are seeing incredible results, right? But nailing the macronutrients is so vital, but it's also sustainable. So let me explain why. So let's kind of go through it step by step. Protein, for instance, it's not a secret. Protein builds muscle. That's not a new study. But when you dive deeper into protein and what it does for the human body, first of all, protein has a higher thermic effect, which means that every 100 calories of protein you eat, 30% of that gets broken down in the digestive process. So having a higher protein intake with my clients means their body's working harder to digest food, right? So, let's talk about protein and muscle mass. So obviously, yes, protein builds muscle mass, but it's also very muscle sparring, which means that having a protein intake in a deficit or wherever it may be helps you spare muscle, which is super important because muscle mass is one of the most important parts of the male human anatomy. It regulates testosterone levels, keeps testosterone levels high, but more specifically, it helps with metabolism. So having good muscle tissue raises metabolism. Why, right? It takes 8 calories to sustain 1 pound of muscle tissue. It takes 2 calories to sustain 1 pound of body fat. So having more muscle tissue allows you to be able to eat more, allows your body to be more glucose absorbent, and allows your body to build muscle, have higher testosterone, and allows it to eat more food, right? That is why having muscle mass is so extremely important when it comes to metabolism, right? So some other factors about protein gets broken down into amino acids of the building blocks of the human body. It takes more energy calories to build and maintain muscle than fat. People with more muscle mass have faster metabolisms. We knew that. So let's dive into fat intake. Why fat intake is important, right? So fat intake, for instance, has 9 calories per gram. So it's a higher calorie-dense macromolecule. So fat intake regulates hormone levels. T3, T4, metabolism, thyroid, testosterone. So it regulates all these hormone levels in the human body, right? But also it correlates to digestion. Since it is the higher macromolecule macronutrient, it takes longer to digest, right? So let's break down what metabolism is, the process of how your body breaks down and burns food. What is digestion? The process of how your body breaks down food. So you see the correlation between the two. So having the correct fat intake to mitigate hormone levels, but make sure that digestion is up to par, is extremely vital in the progress you make very fast, right? That's why my clients see 10 pounds in just 2 weeks, because we clear out that digestion, lower inflammation on the stomach, and get rid of the gut. So let's break down carbohydrates and the importance of carbohydrates in the body. And this is a big one, because carbohydrates get a terrible rap in today's society as it is. But what carbohydrates actually do in the human body is, one, your brain runs off glucose. So if you're receiving like brain fog or like hard to get up in the morning and you're highly restricting yourself from carbohydrates, your brain runs off glucose. Your brain quite literally runs off glucose, right? So there's a couple very, very important parts of carbohydrates in the human body, but the reason they get such a bad rap in today's society is because, one, if you eat too much carbohydrates and you don't burn enough carbohydrates, yes, your body's going to put off body fat. It's going to put off carbohydrates in the form of glucose. And as time has gone on, society has gotten less active. We use cars, order food, whatever it may be. And the food industry has gotten more saturated with higher carbohydrate options, more sugar options. So as we've gotten less active, the food industry has gotten more saturated. People are burning less calories and intaking more calories. They're also burning less carbs and eating more carbs. So carbohydrates gets a bad rap for that specific reason. But you need carbohydrates in your body, right? So with fat intake, let's say, for instance, not only is it important for the hormonal science of things, but, taking into context, like when we're talking about, past humans versus now, right? So think about like prehistoric times when food was in times of very, very scarcity, right? So one, your body puts off body fat in the form of fat in case you're actually starving, right? Because food time is scarcity, you don't know when you're getting your next meal in prehistoric times, so the body wants to put off body fat to actually mitigate that. But if you are under eating to the point where you're actually starving yourself, whether it's fat intake, carbohydrates, or whatever it may be, you're not getting enough, your body will start to down-regulate all of your hormone levels and start to put body fat off in anticipation of you starving, because that is the reset mechanism of the human body, right? And so you need carbohydrates to mitigate this. You need carbohydrates to mitigate inflammation in the body, adrenal fatigue, cortisol levels, and more importantly, when you break down the metabolism in general, 60% of your metabolism is made up of the basal metabolic rate. So what is the basal metabolic rate? Breathing, sleep, organ function, blood flow. What do carbohydrates do? Support BMR, essential body function. It's the main fuel source of the body, right? So carbohydrates, for instance, yes, if you eat too many carbohydrates and you don't burn enough carbohydrates, you will put off fat. But there's a specific reason for carbohydrates in the human body that is important for a good hormonal profile and also a good macronutrient balance, right? So carbohydrates specifically also induce leptin levels, which is a hormone in the body. So there's two hunger hormones in the body, leptin and ghrelin. So leptin is the trigger that tells your brain, we're full, we're done. And then ghrelin is the hormone that actually tells your brain that you're hungry. So decreasing carbohydrates has a decrease in leptin, which means that your brain's less likely to say, hey, we're full, which you see how we run into the correlation between unsustainable diets with low carb and carnivore diets, because your leptin levels start to decrease, right? So these one size fits all diets, the thing about them is that one, they're unsustainable because you can't do it for long term. The reason why my clients are making such amazing progress as fast as they are is because we teach them how to hit macronutrients, right? We teach them how to hit protein, carbs, and fats. So why is it important that you hit protein, carbs, and fats, or understand how to hit protein, carbs, and fats? Because every food group in today's society has a protein, a carb, or a fat in it, right? They all have a macronutrient profile. So my clients, one, they don't restrict themselves. That cheeseburger from McDonald's has a macronutrient profile. That donut from Krispy Kreme has a macronutrient profile. So as long as you're hitting your macronutrients, you can eat what you want, which is a more sustainable way and approach to dieting than saying, I can't have this, I can't have this. I'm restricting yourself. And that's why you hit a plateau and you just gain everything right back, because you're so highly restricting yourself. You're downregulating all your hormones. You're upregulating, downregulating leptin levels and upregulating ghrelin. You get super hungry, and then you either just binge it all back or you stop and you just gain it all back because your body gets used to it. Gets down-regulated, it in the form of thinking that it's more hungry, right? And so it conserves energy to serve that basal metabolic rate, the essential body functions of the human body. So it down-regulates everything in anticipation of you starving. And so as soon as you eat a little bit more food, you gain it all right back, as opposed to what we do with our clients and teaching them a sustainable approach of flexible dieting and hitting macronutrients. One, there's a synergistic effect to hitting macronutrients with your hormonal profile, building muscle, mitigating hormone levels, mitigating inflammation, and giving the body and the brain good energy levels. But also, it's much more sustainable long term because you get to eat what you want. You get to hit macronutrients, and you get to when you understand hitting macronutrients, then you understand that you know how to go out to eat with some friends and some family members without having to restrict yourself from carbohydrates, or how to go on vacation and come back and weigh the exact same. And so once you understand hitting macronutrients and know exactly what your body needs macronutrient wise, that's when you see sustainable progress like my clients are right now. And the most important thing is that you nail those macronutrients, right? It's how you make sustainable progress, fast progress. And the best part about it is, and the biggest difference between low carb, keto, carnivore, whatever it may be, is that with these diets, there's no updating them, right? There's no updating your macronutrient, your keto profile, your carnivore profile. Once you do it, there's just a dead end that you hit, right? As opposed to what we do is we teach them, one, a sustainable approach to flexible dieting that creates more consistency, creates more sustainability long term, but also once they do, I can pull strings in the form of protein, carbs, and fats based upon the progress they're making, right? So your macronutrient profile updates at each low you get to, right? If you're doing the same thing you lost the first 20 pounds for and expecting to lose the next 20, that's just simply an ignorant approach, right? Hitting macronutrients can be updated bi-weekly based upon the progress they're making. And that's how my clients are eating 1,000 more calories per day, 1,000 more calories per day, 22 pounds down, 1,000 more calories a day. Is because, one, we're updating their macronutrients based upon the profile they're making, the progress they're making based upon their body weight, what they look like, what they feel like, their gym sessions. And that's even how clients like Mason here is eating 1,300 more calories a day in the exact same weight. So let's dive into this. Why is this a thing? Why is he 215 versus 215? Because simply in today's society, people think they have a weight loss problem. You have a fat loss problem. We mentioned out earlier how muscle tissue is highly glucose absorbent, is great for testosterone levels, and one of the most important parts of the male anatomy, right? So we don't want to lose muscle mass. Some of the guys who do carnivore keto lose a bunch of muscle tissue. You get caught in the skinny fat phase, and your body needs less calories to sustain less body fat. And then as soon as you gain it right back, or as soon as you stop doing the carnivore keto, you gain it all right back. What we focus on is fat loss. Nobody really cares what they look like or what the weight on the scale looks like. They care about what they look like. That's how my client, like Reese right here, 200 pounds, 1,000 more calories a day, but look, lost body fat and gained muscle. People think they have a weight loss problem. You have a fat loss problem. We need muscle tissue. So we focus on nailing macronutrients to supply the body with good muscle tissue, growing muscle tissue to increase metabolism, but also lose body fat, right? That's how you get body recompositions. That's how you make progress really fast, is hitting those protein, carbs, and fats, right? And that's exactly what all of my clients are doing currently right now, is how they see sustainable progress, long-term progress. And within that as well, think about it like this. If you're gaining muscle tissue and losing body fat, muscle tissue, it's the same amount of weight. If you lose 1 pound of muscle tissue and lose 1 pound of body fat and gain 1 pound of muscle tissue, it's the exact same thing, right? You're not going to move much in weight, but your body composition is going to be completely different. And that is what macronutrients do. They change your body composition. They help your body lose weight quicker. They help your body change faster. That's how my client Phil, down 70 pounds, eating 1,200 more calories a day. 70 pounds. This is what he looked like when he started with me. And this is what he looks like now. And that's because I am adjusting his macronutrients bi-weekly based upon the progress he's making. That's how he doesn't hit a plateau. And then Kevin, 35 pounds down, 1,250 more calories per day. 1,250 more calories per day. Mason, 10 pounds down, 800 more calories a day and shredded. So like when you nail the macronutrients, there's a synergistic effect to what happens to where your body absorbs more food, increases your basal metabolic rate by burning more food in the body, but also gaining muscle tissue in the process. And there's a correlation between everything aligned with protein, carbs, and fats. And if you are missing some certain macromolecule, like trying to do keto, trying to do carnivore, thinking fasting is the answer, then this is your problem. Because one, that's not sustainable, right? It's not a sustainable approach. And the human body needs certain macronutrients, certain nutrition to optimize the hormonal profile. And that's why my clients are seeing such amazing progress. As I nail their macronutrients on the dot, update it how they're doing weekly, and guide them along the process. And that's how we don't hit a plateau. And that's how they see progress as fast as they are, right? So that's in today's video. If you guys are struggling, if you're sitting here and you're struggling right now with getting lean, you've been trying unsustainable diets, you've been yo-yoing for the past however many years, there is going to be a link down below for me and you to sit down, see if it's a good fit for us to work together. I will take where you're at, where you're wanting to be, and see what's stopping you from getting there. And if I'm 1,000% confident that what I do is something that I could help you, I will get you to the leanest body fat percentage you have ever been, predictably and sustainably, using metabolic priming. So that link will be below. Don't wait on this. You've waited long enough, right? That link is going to be below. Sign up for a time. We'll see if it's a good fit. And if it is, we'll get you rocking. So that's in today's video. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my free training on metabolic priming below. And I'll see you guys next time.